What if Marvel has already revealed Brand New Day's biggest villain us before the movie even releases? Not Hulk, not Sadie Sink, not Tombstone. What if the real villain has been hiding in plain sight this entire time, and almost nobody noticed? Because if this theory is true, Spider-Man isn't about to face his strongest enemy, he's about to fight the one person he never wanted to lose. Right now, everyone is focused on Hulk, others are convinced Sadie Sink is hiding something. Some fans think Tombstone is secretly pulling the strings, but here's the thing, Marvel has spent years teaching us one lesson. The villain everyone expects usually isn't the real threat. Think back to No Way Home. The trailers constantly distracted us, entire scenes were edited, characters were hidden, and the biggest surprises weren't even advertised. So what if Brand New Day is doing exactly the same thing? Because after digging through every trailer, promotional image, concept art, and everything Marvel has quietly shown us, one character keeps standing out. Not because he's acting suspicious, but because he shouldn't be acting this way at all. Ned Leeds. And if this theory is right, Peter Parker isn't about to lose another battle. He's about to lose his best friend. Before we go any further, remember something from No Way Home, right? When Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield tell Peter that their best friends eventually became their enemies, Ned immediately turns to Peter and says, "I promise I'll never become your villain." At the time, it felt like nothing more than a funny joke. Classic Marvel humor, except that promise only matters if you actually remember making it, and that's the problem. At the end of No Way Home, Doctor Strange casts one final spell. Not only does the world forget Peter Parker, MJ forgets him, Ned forgets him, every relationship Peter ever built simply disappears, including the promise that was supposed to stop history from repeating itself. So now, for the first time, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is walking down the exact same path as the Spider-Men before him. There's another detail that feels surprisingly intentional. In the trailers, Ned is wearing a yellow jacket. Now normally, that wouldn't mean anything. But longtime comic readers immediately notice something interesting. Those colors closely resemble the classic Hobgoblin color palette. Could it just be coincidence? Maybe. But then another clue appeared. Unused Marvel concept art shows Ned standing on the Green Goblin's glider. Marvel never used that design, but ideas like this rarely disappear forever. Sometimes they simply get saved for a future movie, which raises a terrifying possibility. What if Marvel never abandoned the Hobgoblin storyline? They simply delayed it? Now look at the list of characters already confirmed or heavily teased for Brand New Day. We've got Hulk, the Punisher, Tombstone, Boomerang, Scorpion, Tarantula, Ramrod, the Hand. Almost every trailer focuses heavily on these villains. But here's what's strange, Marvel didn't introduce Peter to an entirely new supporting cast. Instead, they kept bringing our attention back to MJ, and especially Ned. Peter isn't standing beside them anymore. He's watching them from a distance like someone observing a life he no longer belongs in. That feels intentional because emotionally, Peter already lost them. The question now is whether he'll lose them physically too. Then something even stranger started appearing online. Several promotional materials, along with information spotted on the viral Spidey Tracker website, paint a very unexpected picture. Ned seems completely obsessed with Spider-Man, not Peter Parker, Spider-Man. He's tracking every sighting, logging every battle, studying his movements, even trying to narrow down who Spider-Man might actually be. Age, height, ethnicity, accent. He's treating Spider-Man like an unsolved mystery, which feels incredibly different from the Ned we knew. Back then, he was Peter's guy in the chair. Now, he looks like someone building an investigation board, almost like a detective chasing an impossible answer. But why? Why would someone become this obsessed with a random superhero unless that obsession isn't random at all? To understand that, we have to go back to Doctor Strange's spell, because I think most fans misunderstand what actually happened. The spell never erased Spider-Man, it erased Peter Parker. That's a huge difference. People still remember Spider-Man exists. They remember the battles, the Avengers, everything Spider-Man accomplished. The only thing missing is the person underneath the mask, Peter Parker. That's why nobody recognizes him anymore. Even public records seem altered. Photos, videos, documents, anything connecting Peter Parker to Spider-Man appears distorted or hidden, almost like reality itself covered its tracks. We've actually seen hints of this before. Tony Stark absolutely had pictures with Peter Parker. One of them even appeared in Endgame. It represented everything Tony lost and helped motivate him to solve time travel. But later, when similar material appears again, Peter's identity is mysteriously obscured. His face is hidden, almost as if reality refuses to let anyone reconnect those missing pieces. That's not memory loss. That's reality protecting the spell. But here's where the theory becomes much darker. What if those memories aren't actually gone? What if they're simply locked away? Because human memory doesn't work like deleting files from a computer. Real memories rarely disappear forever. They become suppressed, hidden beneath emotions, dreams, déjà vu, strange feelings you can't explain. You know something is missing, but you can't remember what. And that's exactly where Ned becomes dangerous. Imagine waking up every day, feeling like someone important has vanished from your life, not knowing who, not knowing why, just carrying an empty space inside you. That kind of emotional void doesn't stay empty forever. Eventually, your mind tries to fill it, and that missing piece may slowly transform into an obsession. For MJ, that feeling might simply become sadness. But Ned is different, because Marvel already showed us something extraordinary about him. Something most people forgot. He can use magic. Not just anyone can do what Ned did in No Way Home. Without training, without experience, he used a sling ring, focused on finding Peter, and successfully opened portals. That's incredible. Doctor Strange spent months training at Camartage before mastering even basic portal magic. Ned did it almost instinctively. Why? Because magic in Marvel isn't powered only by knowledge. Sometimes it's powered by belief, emotion, purpose. At that moment, Ned wanted to find Peter more than anything else in the universe, and somehow magic answered him, which means his magical potential isn't normal. It's deeply connected to his emotions, and that's exactly what makes this theory so terrifying. Now think about what that means. When Peter Parker still existed in Ned's life, that emotional connection had somewhere to go. His loyalty, his trust, his instinct to protect his best friend, all of it was directed toward Peter. But after Doctor Strange's spell, Peter is gone, not physically, but emotionally. That bond still exists somewhere inside Ned, except now it has no name, no face, no explanation. And emotions don't simply disappear, they always search for a new destination, which means the only thing left connecting Ned to that missing piece is Spider-Man. Suddenly, his obsession makes perfect sense. Instead of remembering Peter, his subconscious begins chasing the only clue it has left: Spider-Man. That's why Brand New Day's promotional material repeatedly shows Ned studying Spider-Man's movements, tracking every appearance, recording every battle, trying to predict where he'll show up next. He's no longer acting like a fan, he's acting like someone searching for something his own mind refuses to remember. Eventually, that search could become an obsession, and one terrifying question may begin haunting him. Why does Spider-Man feel so familiar? This is where magic changes everything. Because if Ned realizes something inside his memories has been stolen, he won't go to a therapist. He'll go searching for answers through magic. Maybe Camartage, maybe forgotten relics, maybe ancient spells, maybe someone who understands mystical memory better than Doctor Strange himself. But that's exactly where the danger begins. Doctor Strange's spell wasn't an ordinary memory wipe. It was a multiversal patch, a spell designed to repair reality itself. If an inexperienced sorcerer tries to break that spell, there's no guarantee those memories return correctly. Instead, they could come back shattered, mixed together, corrupted, or even replaced. Imagine fragments of another universe bleeding into Ned's mind, another version of himself, a darker version, a Hobgoblin variant, someone who already hates Spider-Man. If those memories merged together, Ned wouldn't simply remember Peter. He'd become someone else entirely. Almost like Norman Osborn's split personality. One side, the kind, funny friend everyone knows. The other, a rage-filled monster hiding beneath the surface, and Marvel already has comic history supporting this direction. Modern Hobgoblin stories aren't just about technology anymore. They're tied to dark magic, demons, mystical corruption, which means the MCU doesn't need to copy the comics exactly. It only needs inspiration, and psychologically, everything fits. Imagine discovering your entire past has a missing chapter. Imagine realizing someone stole a piece of your life, but you can't remember who. Eventually, your anger has to land somewhere, and Spider-Man becomes the easiest target, just like Harry Osborn blamed Spider-Man for everything. Ned could begin believing Spider-Man is somehow responsible for the emptiness inside him. The audience knows Peter sacrificed everything to protect his friends, but Ned wouldn't. From his perspective, Spider-Man may have taken everything away. Then there's another fascinating possibility: Baron Mordo. Remember, Mordo is still alive in the MCU. The last time we saw him, he declared there were too many sorcerers. Now imagine he discovers someone like Ned, a teenager with natural magical talent, opening portals without formal training. That's exactly the kind of person Mordo would notice. He has two options: steal Ned's magic or manipulate him. The comics actually explored something surprisingly similar. One version of Ned becomes connected to magical forces through Baron Mordo, stealing forbidden knowledge connected to powerful mystical books. If Marvel adapts even part of that story, Mordo could become the person pushing Ned toward darkness, not because Ned is evil, but because someone finally gives him answers, even if they're the wrong answers. Of course, Marvel could also take a completely different route: technology. People often forget just how intelligent Ned actually is. Back in Homecoming, he hacked Stark technology. He accessed Peter's suit. He activated systems that shouldn't have been accessible at all. He's smart enough to fit perfectly into an MIT-level environment. Which brings us to another rumored villain, the Jackal. If our earlier theories are correct, Jackal may already be targeting everyone connected to Spider-Man. He's one of Marvel's greatest experts in cloning on genetic experimentation and psychological manipulation. Destroying Peter Parker emotionally has always been part of his game, and if MJ is already caught in that conflict, logic says Ned could become another target, someone Jackal can manipulate, experiment on, or simply push over the edge. Now imagine Peter's position. He gave up everything at the end of No Way Home, not for himself, for them. He believed staying away would keep MJ and Ned safe. But what if that sacrifice creates the very tragedy he wanted to prevent? If Peter had walked back into their lives, maybe Ned never would have gone looking for answers. Maybe he never would have become obsessed. Maybe Hobgoblin would have never existed. That realization would absolutely destroy Peter emotionally, because suddenly, the villain standing in front of him isn't just another criminal, it's his best friend, the person he promised he'd come back for, but never did. That creates one of the hardest decisions Peter has ever faced. Does he finally reveal his identity, breaking Dr. Strange's sacrifice just to save Ned? Or does he protect the secret and watch his best friend fall deeper into darkness? Neither choice truly wins. One destroys Peter's sacrifice, the other destroys Ned. And that's exactly the kind of emotional conflict Brand New Day should be built around. Not just another superhero fight, but a heartbreaking tragedy. Could all of this be wrong? Absolutely. Marvel may decide to keep Ned completely normal. Maybe none of these clues actually lead anywhere. But when you connect everything, Ned's promise in No Way Home, Doctor Strange's spell, his natural magical talent, his growing obsession with Spider-Man, unused Hobgoblin concept art, comic storylines involving magic, Mordo, Jackal, and Peter's unfinished promise, it suddenly stops feeling impossible. In fact, it starts feeling exactly like the kind of twist Marvel loves hiding in plain sight. Maybe everyone is busy looking at Hulk or Sadie Sink or Tombstone, while the real villain has been standing beside Peter since Homecoming. Not because he wanted revenge, but because he forgot the one person he was always meant to protect. And if that happens, Brand New Day won't just give Spider-Man a new villain. It'll give him the most painful fight of his entire life. So now I want to hear your theory. Do you actually believe Marvel is setting up Ned as Hobgoblin? Or are all these clues just one giant misdirection? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because if this theory turns out to be true, we may have already seen the MCU's biggest twist months before the movie even hits theaters.